So what's the deal? Should one bother to stack silver rounds? The stock market's worst day since 1987. It's now 43% lower. Perhaps the worst economic downturn in decades is upon us. Your golden years with an IRA in gold or silver. Visit sdbullion.com/IRA for more information. Those silver circles down here are very stunning. A few people have asked me, Harry, what is the difference between a coin and a round? Because, well, they do resemble each other, don't they? Their form and, for the most part, their substance are strikingly identical. A standard unit of measurement for bullion is a 1-ounce round or coin, or 1 troy ounce if you want. The key distinction is that sovereign governments do not print their own money. Instead, they issue coins with printed denominations, such as silver eagles, $1, or units of measurement, such as the rand, 1 Krugerrand. Every time you see a circle, know that it represents 1 troy ounce of silver, which could be 900,999 or some other excellent silver. However, it is not pegged to any specific currency. Most countries, including the United States, would classify that as counterfeiting. In addition, the Secret Service would seize it. That has been severely punished. Given that a private refiner, rather than a sovereign government, makes a round, we can say that it is not a coin because it does not have a denomination. What about the buffalo rounds? I heard you mention them as being the most popular. Would you like to see a couple? Of course. Additionally, there are a plethora of variants on the buffalo rounds, as many refiners have their own unique takes on the theme, even within that series. Here we may observe the difference between these two styles. These seem to be more common. Every one of these variants has its roots in the original buffalo nickel, and subsequently, in the U.S. commemorative dollar that the Smithsonian produced in honor of that coin. Thus, at least in our local market, it is the most sought-after round and ounce of silver that we offer. Yes, I will admit that purchasing rounds is something I enjoy doing, and that my plan for this year was to do just that. Okay, this is a 1-ounce silver round on the left, and an American silver eagle on the right. Now, the amount of silver in both of these is exactly the same, isn't it? Without a doubt, 1 troy ounce of sterling silver, grade 999. A premium of $2, $3, $4, or even $5 more is normal for an American silver eagle. And the main distinction is that it is printed with the US dollar logo and is manufactured by the US government. But there's a world of difference there. To begin, the fact that it is produced by the US Mint is a major selling point for many. In addition to being denominated in dollars, it is also guaranteed authentic by the US Mint. Thus, even if the improbable happened, silver would still be worth 0. For the sake of argument, let's pretend this is still $1. At that point, it would have no use. Indeed, it does appear rather improbable. Oil, I seem to recall, fell negative for a day or two before reversing course. Indeed, all I'm trying to suggest is that there must be some way in which they vary. However, new stackers sometimes ask, what do you recommend I do first? As an example, if you decide that a buffalo design isn't right for your stack, you can easily sell it because everyone recognizes it. And to be honest, it's a good seller in any shop. So, in my opinion, it's best to get as much silver as you can for the least amount of money. As a result, I was wondering if in a future where it becomes more difficult to utilize currency, the worth of an ounce would likely be the same or nearly the same whether it was in the form of a round or a coin. I have really considered that, thus I am inclined to believe that. A barter arrangement can ensnare people at times. Where can I get the monetary amount for a round? I don't think money will come up in discussion, that's my answer. Following your lead, the ounce will serve as both a measure and a currency unit. The true value of the coin or round will be the currency, not a dollar, rand, or any other type of money. Because of this, the rounds are the most cost-effective choice if that is your motivation for stacking. Once again, that's probably excellent advice for someone just starting out. But, as individuals progress, they become more picky. Whether it's a kangaroo pattern, the Philharmonic, or a love of variety, they're into it. Thus, it is not uncommon for one's taste to expand as they mature. Conversely, preferences can be finicky at times. Some people have determined that the stack should look like eagles or maples, so they swap buffalo rounds for such. So, that's an option if you're willing to shell out the additional cash. They could be exchanged for coins in the future. In fact, we do it daily. Is that right? Everything in our lives can be exchanged for something else. Holy cow. It appears as though Adrian has just entered the room. Good day, Adrian. Now that we've covered rounds versus coins, I'd rather have rounds at the moment due to their lower price. What are your thoughts about that? In your opinion, are they a more desirable purchase? Ultimately, it's up to you and your stacking objectives. Choose the rounds if you want to maximize your silver investment. What then would be the benefit of purchasing the coins? Some people may get this because they believe they would need it to enter a foreign nation or whatever. You would prefer a denominated form of silver rather the actual metal itself. Also, I've heard that declaring a certain amount of dollars rather than a specific quantity of ounces is acceptable while going internationally. Is there any truth to what you said? The way they enforce things these days makes me think twice before taking a chance. Yet guess what? I suppose you could be correct. After all, it is money, and it is denominated. That's money in the bank. In theory, you might claim that $500 is all I have if I had a huge box of silver eagles, as each coin is $1. But the truth is that it's worth about $20,000. Yeah, of course. If the airport security officer simply glances at it and remarks, "Oh, you got a bunch of silver here," then that could be a red flag. Plus, the vast majority of them are likely unfamiliar with the concept of a silver eagle and may ask, "What is this?" Imagine a dime. I wouldn't take the chance, like you mentioned, Adrian. It plainly says $1 for the eagle, for instance. There is no indication of money or anything like that. $1. Well, it's only $1. Therefore, you may exchange them for $1. I suppose so. However, due to their lack of denomination, silver rounds cannot be spent. Yes, I believe that the rounds are a good value because they provide more bang for your buck. Their resemblance to a coin is also something I find appealing. Oh, by the way, they form a circle instead of a bar of silver. I simply prefer the appearance for some reason. I suppose it's fair to say that the rounds are usually a bit more swappable. Um, some people might feel more at ease accepting a round coin as payment in a trade than a bar of gold simply because of the shape of the currency. However, I suppose there are two sides to the argument, as some people's initial query when considering purchasing gold is, do you happen to have any gold bars on hand? The reason being that gold bars are a common sight in films. I've attempted to find a replacement, like when I run out of rounds and have 1 ounce bars, but nobody ever takes me up on my offer. I suppose bars are something people are genuinely searching for, maybe to play with. Is that right? The reason being that they desire the object like a coin. Here we are, Harry. What now? Should one bother to stack silver rounds? Right now, I'm looking at the price. From where it was even a few years ago, it has more than quadrupled. I suppose the correct response would be that it does matter, given that we are now paying twice as much as before. In theory, if you stick onto it, you're essentially holding round bars worth twice as much silver as you originally purchased them for. All things considered, time is on your side and they're all fine. Moreover, silver is silver. What is silver? It's just silver. Very well. Well, I really appreciate it. I am grateful. Much obliged. I appreciate it. Please